To Let's Talk Talents webinar series on this beautiful sunny Thursday morning. I know we wouldn't be British if we didn't mention the weather. So it's a beautiful sunny day. We won't moan about how hot it is. But the topic for today's session is all around coaching that counts and the strategic value in which this can help in leadership coaching. As you're joining us this morning, please do share who you are, your role, and where you're calling us from. It's always lovely to see who we have on the call because you can see us, but we can't see you without sounding like a game show host. I feel like a game
You do. You sound a bit Bruce Forsyth.
hopefully it won't be like that the whole way through. Whether you're joining us with a coffee in hand, sneaking between meetings, multitasking like a pro, or lapping up some of those morning rays with a pina colada in hand, I know which one I'd much rather be doing at the moment. But we are thrilled to have you joining us for the next 30 to 45 minutes this morning. I'm Craig, and I'm joined today by the amazing Joe Taylor, and together we will be your coaching guides. No jargon, no fluff, just practical insight and hopefully some real talk without sounding like a game show host. So, how are you doing on this fine morning?
I'm fine. I've been to the gym this morning. I was up at 6:30 and I don't think I can move my arms. I've got to be honest with you. So you might not be getting the gestures that you normally get on these webinars, but yes, I'm doing really well. And it is really hot. It's like 21 already. So I think it's going to be scorchio today. That's
It
for sure.
is. And thankfully for the virtual world that we work in now, we don't have to do much with our arms. We just click rather than the old school
Exactly.
screens with the clickers and things like that. So
Oh, exactly.
there's one benefit for hybrid working, which again does come up as a topic we're going to talk about today. But Joe, I did want to start with a bit of a question,
Sure.
which was, how long have you been a coach?
It's a really good question. And I know that you gave me a little bit of time to think about it. And I suppose there's the kind of short answer, which is I think in some ways I've always been coaching because I've been naturally curious about people and I ask a lot of questions. Some would say quite nosy, others might say curious, depending on where you are on the spectrum in that sense. So I think that natural curiosity has always led me to coach people. And I suppose if it was official, I suppose when I became a manager, when I worked at the BBC, so quite early on in my career, I managed a department, and you had to coach assistant producers and producers to coax them a lot of the time into thinking about their career and thinking about the next project that they were going to do. So I think I've probably been doing it for a lot longer. And I don't profess, and there's going to be some official coaches from, official bodies probably on this call. I've never had a qualification, but I don't think that particularly matters. I think that if you can ask open questions, you're curious, and you're willing to go between coaching and mentoring, which I know we're going to talk about during this webinar, I think you can, in some ways, really support people, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And I do love that balance between the mentoring, coaching, and managing as well, because again, they're very distinct things. But I find that, especially in this world, what's happening at the moment, lots of people do ask for the traditional coaching methods, but actually they do tend to want a little bit of the mentoring in there as well. They want that push, that guidance to help them on that journey.
100%. And we've seen it, and I know you're going to talk about it in one of the examples, but in a project that we're doing for a healthcare provider called Talent Accelerator, actually a lot of the feedback has been that they've wanted the coaches to be practical. And we're seeing that much more, aren't we, in the conversations that we're having with companies, that they do want that blend, but they still call it coaching. So I think this is going to hopefully unlock those differences, and whether it's coaching with a capital C or coaching with a small c, there's definitely a place in your L&D and your talent management strategy for sure.
Absolutely right. I feel like we could be talking about this for the next 45 minutes, but we do have some slides to be showing these people who are joining us today. Excuse me. So if you are just joining us, please do drop your name and your role and where you're dialing in from into the chat. But we are going to get cracking and run through what we have prepared for you today, which is all around that why coaching counts. Now, for those of you who are joining your first ever Let's Talk Talent webinar, we are Let's Talk Talent. We are a talent management and organizational development consultancy. Try say that after a few pina coladas this morning. We are headquartered in London, but we operate globally. Now, we support clients across 7 strategic pillars, of which we're going to be focusing on coaching and assessment pillar today. And if you ask our clients what we do, they hopefully will tell you that we are experts in making the complex simple, and that we help them get, keep, and grow brilliant people. And it's as simple as that, because talent management OD does span such a wide, broad topic. So our journey today is going to take us into a deep dive of the world of coaching. I know it's a buzzword we hear a lot, and it's not a new term at all, but we want to understand what is it exactly. It's been around for a while, but why are we still talking about it? And is it still the same thing as it has always been, or has it started to evolve, adapt, and change? And finally, where does it work best, and how can you maximize it to its fullest potential in itself? Now, we're going to start early and get you guys engaging. I know everyone's starting to write in the chat. If I'm looking around the screen, it's because the chat's over here, the presentation's over here, and it's all over the place. But what we want to try and understand now is, do you currently utilize coaching? I realize that is a rather ambiguous question to be asking. Hopefully a poll will pop up in the chat momentarily. There it is. It's a rather ambiguous question, but you could be you as in yourself. Have you been coached? Are you coaching? Or you as an organization? The main point we're trying to understand is coaching widely used with those who are joining on the call? And how much are people utilizing it across their organization at the moment? And again, if you'd like to add some context, there is a chat function there as well. So if you're yes, no, but if you're actually maybe in the middle, it'd be really good to understand where you are there. So we've got 75% of the people on this call who are on 76 now, sorry, just a jump ahead. It was a perfect statistic. I do love it when it lands like that. Okay, now we're starting to get more people come through. We've got 68% of people who are answering yes, that they do currently use coaching or utilize coaching within their ways of working, and 32% who are answering no at the moment. So yes, you've come to the right place to understand a little bit more around how we can utilize it in more detail. Thank you very much. Now, what I want to do for those who have answered yes is to look at it across this, what we call the coaching maturity curve, not cove. When people and organizations think about coaching, start to think about how you're utilizing it, because quite often it lands within the transactional sense. And that's what we call our ad hoc coaching approaches, which is right in the early stages of the coaching maturity curve. But there's a lot deeper levels of embedding coaching into everything you're doing. And that's where the rest of, or the other 3 areas of this curve come in. So if we look at them as 4 different areas, so the ad hoc areas is all around actually when you have ad hoc coaching. So you use it as and when you need it, normally at that strategic level, so that exec level, or when you're in crisis. We saw lots of people adopt coaching in COVID, where it was a crisis. That was where they wanted to support people, but that was during that crisis to help them with that problem they're trying to solve at that time. That is still only ad hoc itself, because it's reacting to something that's happening. Emerging is when you start to build some of that coaching infrastructure in there. So you have a pool of external coaches where people can go to, can look at the profiles and start to say, I would like help within X, Y, and Z. This coach can help me with that. Can I start that relationship moving forward? We've seen with certain clients who are really forward thinking, they've started to give the power back to their employees, who they give their learning and development budget to them, so they can use it as and when they want it. They have a pool of coaches, providers, and they can then start to build out and build their own development programs, which again is very forward thinking and works very well for them. You then start to look at integrated, and this is where coaching is more embedded into your L&D. You start to build management capability with something that we call informal coaching as well as career development. So it starts to be part of how you operate as an organization. And then we get into the transformational senses, which is coaching is the way in which we lead, whether that's external, internal, or our leaders themselves. Coaching and a coaching culture is what we stand by and what we push forward as an organization as well. So that is very quickly a very quick summary of the coaching maturity curve. And it's something to think about as we go through, especially the ones that have answered, or the individuals that have answered yes. start to think about where you feel you are across that maturity curve in itself. Because there will be different reasons, and you may be in between different stages, but it's a good way to start looking at it. So let's take a moment to acknowledge the world in which leaders operate in 2025. Leaders are not just managing people anymore, they're managing change, uncertainty, digital disruption, hybrid working, AI integration or generative AI integration, productivity pushes, political uncertainty, and ever increasing expectations around well-being, inclusion, purpose, and that's just to name a few. So it's a real dynamic environment in which people are having to lead at the moment. Now, in short, the complexity in which people or leaders are operating has skyrocketed, and it's only it's only looking to continue on that journey as we look and explore into the world of generative AI and how that's impacting everything we do as an organization and ways of work. The old leadership playbook really isn't cutting it anymore. So we're looking for new ways to do things. Now, leaders aren't expected to have all the answers. We're not going to say that we want to breed managers or leaders who can just come in and just operate in any environment itself. But what we are expecting them to do is to be able to navigate that ambiguity, empower others, and stay human in a world that's more increasingly automated. And this is where EQ comes into play and balances against that IQ. So EQ is the emotional intelligence, and the IQ is the intelligence levels. And this is exactly where coaching comes in to help. In a world where we're now asking AI more questions than ever, and more so than we do our colleagues and just people we work with, coaching helps leaders reconnect with humans, slow down, and build out that self-awareness, resilience, and adaptability that they need to thrive in these environments. And that's not just survive, we want them to really thrive in those environments themselves.
Amazing.
Oh, so and the stats, totally forgot. Let's back that up with a few stats themselves. Now, and the stats are telling us that it's not going particularly well at the moment. Going to be honest, the stats aren't showing leaders in a particularly good light. Now, this is not a generalization. This is just data, hard data that we've seen and we've identified from a number of sources. And just to look at these three factors, almost 3/4 of leaders are feeling overwhelmed due to the increased complexity in their roles. We've already spoken about some of the areas that they're seeing adding complexity to their environments at the moment. But 3/4 of them are feeling overwhelmed, which is a staggering figure. When you look at it, and it's a big study that which McKinsey actually did within that research itself. Now, if we look at Gallup's research, we've seen that 1/5 of all employees strongly agree that their performance is managed in a way that doesn't motivate them. So these people that does motivate them. So all of these people actually having that amount of people who are disengaged or not motivated is having a huge impact, especially in a world where productivity and efficiency is increasing. So that's calling for more effective leadership in how our leaders are leading and managing people. And lastly, organizations who invest in leadership and leadership coaching saw a 31% increase in their abilities to manage ambiguity and change. So two of the big factors which are being faced by leaders at this moment in time. Sorry, Joe, I'll hand over to you now.
Thank you, Craig. And some really interesting stats there when you think about how you laid out the complexity that we're kind of working in. And we've definitely seen, haven't we, that real shift to EQ within leadership over IQ. And I think coaching has a profound effect on helping people. I'm actually coaching someone at the moment that says to me, I'm just not emotionally intelligent. And I'm going, yeah, but by you saying that, it kind of is counterintuitive. So please, if things are resonating with you, if you kind of want to ask us any questions, please put them into the chat and we'll definitely talk about some of your questions as we go along. So in this environment, coaching isn't a perk, right? So it isn't a nice to have. Probably when I started Let's Talk Talent 10 years ago, I would say coaching was a perk. It was something that was only given, and I say that in no uncertain terms, for your top talent. So your high potentials, your CEO -1, CEO -2 level. But for me, the coaching, and whether you sit with a small c rather than professional coaching, is a leadership necessity. Our leaders need to understand how to emotionally engage, motivate, and support their people. So ensuring that you have a coaching culture, which includes feedback, is a really important part. So you don't have to just invest in training your internal talent as coaches. For me, there is a blend, and there is a need within leadership to have that balance, because sometimes somebody will want and need an external perspective different to your business, but in other ways, when you're perhaps starting out your career, tapping into career coaches, for example, can be really beneficial. So it's not a nice to have anymore, it's absolutely a leadership and management necessity. So we talk about coaching, and I've been talking about it with a big C and a small c, but what actually is it? So let's get to the crux of it. So for us, coaching is really working with an individual, or can be working with a team. We've done that before, where it's future focus. It's about thinking about where that person may be wanting to go, for example, in their career. It's goal orientated, so make sure that somebody has goals that they want to attain. It can be collaborative because it can be group team orientated, but it also can be collaborative with that person's manager if they're really wanting to support. Coaches are great at listening, and they're about asking really good questions. It's not about telling, which you might have when you're looking for a mentor, for example, or you're a manager. And it's about shifting the ownership from you to the individual. So you're making that person accountable for the changes that they want to make. It's not about the monkey being on your back, it's about that person. So that's what coaching is, but it isn't therapy. And some people definitely need therapy. And good, I've come up against that when I've been coaching somebody, and I've flagged that. So it's not about fixing or being a therapist or a counselor. It's not about mentoring. Yes, I said at the beginning, I have a balance between coaching and mentoring. If that's what the person wants, that's fine. But mentoring is something very, very different, where you're specifically asking for advice. That person is asking for advice and guidance, and you're giving your experience. Coaching isn't a fix for bad performance. So yes, you can coach somebody to reach a higher performance, but it should never be something where you're bringing someone in to fix a problem. It will never work in my opinion. And one coach and one size doesn't fit all. So we have a cadre of really great coaches, some who've been in HR, some who've worked as heads of marketing, HRDs, CEOs, in fact, practical coaching. And we spend a lot of time, Craig and I, a bit like matches, trying to match people. It's about the chemistry. And we all know when it's gone really well. I've worked with a number of coaches in my professional career, and we know when it doesn't. So chemistry is really, really important. So we've been talking a little bit about, and we've been teasing you about the difference between coaching, mentoring, and managing. And I'm not going to go through this whole slide with you because we'll be here till the end of the webinar. But I just wanted to highlight a few things. So let's focus on purpose to start with. So for me, and the whole reason for building LTT was about unlocking potential, because I believe that everybody has potential, no matter where you come from and what education or background. And coaching is a real epitome of that, because it's about unlocking the potential in someone. You remember I said 5 minutes ago that it's about future focused. The juxtaposition of that is that mentoring is about guiding with advice. So you're spending a lot more time giving examples, guiding somebody through challenges that they might have. And then managing and leading is about the inspiration and helping someone reach a higher performance. So there's a real difference between unlocking someone's potential and realizing their potential, and a manager inspiring somebody, giving them inspiration, support, and guidance, but also driving that person's performance now. The other thing I really wanted to highlight was style. So in coaching, it's all about being non-directive. It's about exploratory questions. It's that kind of the open questions. And someone said to me that in coaching, you should never ask why. That's a bad way to coach somebody. You should go around it in a different way. So I found that really, really interesting. In mentoring, again, it's about exploration, but the difference is that it's about advising. So I've listened to what you've said. This is what I might do, offering that advice and guidance. And then managing tends to be, if you're managing and leading people well, is about being more directive and also leading by example. Showing through your career how you've been through something tricky, whether that's having to manage poor performance, for example, or thinking about your career. It's about inspiring somebody to show them through how you role model. And the final thing I wanted to draw out of here was where coaching, mentoring, and managing are best used. So coaching is best used, in our opinion, around development, shifting mindset, reflection, perhaps behavioral change. Mentoring tends to be around managing a challenging situation, or specifically around career development. We do our mentoring program specifically around career development. And then managing tends to be around goal setting, performance, deadlines, doing the job. So hopefully that gives you clarity on when you might use and when you might encourage your managers and leaders to coach, to mentor, and to manage and lead. And in all good managers, there should be a balance between the three. And when we do any management and leadership program, we always talk about those three factors and encourage people to train the muscle, like I was doing in the gym today, in all of those three areas.
And Joe, just to add, so one of the ones that I found really interesting was and I have lots of conversations about, is the relationship dynamic.
Yes.
So lots of leaders will look at profiles that you're sharing. So if anyone's saying they've got leaders coming and asking for coaches, if they look at the profile and say, I can't be coached by this person because they don't have the right level of experience, they are looking for a mentor. They're not looking for a coach.
Good point.
A coach that has no experience in the world in which that person operates, but they are very, very good at getting that person to that stage by asking very deep and understanding questions.
Yeah.
If somebody wants that level of experience and direction, you're better off trying to find them a coach mentor or a pure mentor in itself. So that's one to flag if you're hearing those questions come through.
Yeah, really good point. And we do see that a lot, especially, I would say, at a sort of manager, head of department level, where people want that transferable. Whereas when you tend to get more at a senior level, you're much more interested in that peer-to-peer. But you're absolutely right. Thank you for flagging that. If you've got any questions, I'll repeat it again. Please put it into the chat. Craig and I are very happy to go off piste if we need to and answer your questions. So, $1 million question, and this is our opinion. This is not the gospel, but can only coaches, so professionally qualified people through professional bodies, coach? What do you think? If you've got an opinion, put it into the chat. I'd love to kind of hear that. But for me, I think everybody should be able to coach. I think I've said it throughout this webinar. Hayley's agreeing with me. No, I don't think so. Annie says, I don't think so. I don't think any. Brilliant. I love that. And I think that that's absolutely right. As I said, the best management programs and the best companies that we've worked with encourage that balance between coaching, mentoring, and managing. And there's a really great tool called VoicePrint around communication that we a lot of the time we use in talent development programs and management development programs that looks at communication. And actually, two of the elements of VoicePrint are about coaching and are well, they all fit into that quadrant: coaching, mentoring, and managing. So if you want to know more about VoicePrint, let me know. But if we believe in the premise that not all coaches need to be professional, there are two types. There's the formal coaching and there's informal coaching. And formal coaching may be a program, and informal may be us as managers and leaders coaching people as we do in the conversations that we have every day. So let's think about this before I hand back to the wonderful Craig to kind of round us up. But when done right, coaching can really impact individuals, teams, and organizations. It can have, and these are strong ROI that you might want to build into a business case for creating that coaching culture. It can increase your leadership effectiveness if you get people to understand the difference between coaching, mentoring, and managing, and getting them to do that really well. Your leadership effectiveness is going to increase. It enables you to drive higher performance and accountability by individuals, but also accountability by managers. It can, we said at the beginning, we help organizations get, keep, and grow. So it can help you keep and grow your talent in your organization. It can provide that input to succession and readiness. It can create a culture where people want to work for you. So becoming a great place to work, a place that people, hear about and kind of go, well, they've got a great they've got great coaching, they've got great leadership. I want to work there. And it also enables you Craig put it really well at the beginning, get you ready for change and transformation and that agility, because if you can pivot and you can tap into your natural curiosity, it can make you more agile and tap into that growth mindset. And these are just a few. There's many more, but hopefully that gives you a snapshot of where to use coaching, how to use it, and where you can really drive that ROI. Craig.
Real. And we've talked about coaching, why it matters, what it looks like in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? So let's take a look at a few short case studies, which is going to be focused on actually how organizations, or how we work with organizations, unlock leadership potential and through to shifting team dynamics as well, which again are two critical factors in which they go through. I can see a questions come in. Joe, do you want to grab that one as we look through before we move on?
Sure. Do we have any tips on transitioning from an emerging ad hoc coaching culture to a more emerging integrated structure?
Thank you so much, Sam. We do have some top tips coming later. So yes, we absolutely do. If that doesn't answer your question, what we will do is please do book some time with us afterwards, and we can sort of support you on that journey and say these are the things that we would say. But yes, thank you. You're one step ahead of us, which is great. So just to go through, we've got two cases we're going to look at, and these aren't just nice stories. They're proof that coaching, when it's done right, has a strategic impact across businesses. And the first one is all around unlocking leadership potential. And we love this example is because it's all around fixing. It's not about fixing the leaders. It's about unlocking what's already there. And with the right support, they found their own answers, which is what great coaching is all about. Now, this example looks to develop 36 of this client's high potential talent and empower the next generation of leaders. So we're talking about strategic lead coaching in leadership, but what it can do is it actually support the growth of your emerging leaders as they come through. And what we did is we coupled the coaching itself with some development workshops. But what we did is we sort of reimbursed what a development program looked like, which is the coaching was the main course and our workshops were our side dish, effectively. Whereas actually the traditional programs working the other way around. So the coaching was the main element of that development piece, but the development workshops brought people together as that community to start to get people working together as that close-knit community itself. Now, the impact of this group showed an increase in talent movement and promotion by around 32%. It was still quite short after it to say exactly what the number was, but that was within the first that was compared to the first 6 months before the program, to the 6 months prior, there was an increase of 32% of movement of those individuals. And that wasn't just promotions or moving to senior positions, but it was more diversity across the organization. So lateral movements and more sort of squiggly careers we talk about to build deeper knowledge around other areas of the organization, creating more holistic leaders. So that was one that we felt was a really great one to highlight, just because actually it promoted more of a holistic learning process for those high potential leaders as they went through on their development program itself. Now, the second was slightly different because it utilized a diagnostic tool alongside their coaching, which provided the much needed data to support individual development. When we talk about leaders as a whole, we say, what are your development requirements? Sometimes they say, I don't know, you tell me. What do you feel are my next ones? Or it could be that I want to progress to the next level. I want to do this, but they don't know how and why. So using a diagnostic tool alongside coaching can be really beneficial to get that sort of objective view to help support them on their journey. And that's different to rather than taking a training needs analysis or looking at it from an OD perspective, because the 360 we used here was to look at it from a personalized element around the blind spots, the development areas, so we could work through it in targeted coaching. So it was really focused on that personalized approach, which we're hearing more and more that people are wanting within their development programs themselves. And it's a real critical factor there. So it's a very quick summary around those two case studies themselves. And as Joe mentioned, coaching is not a one size fits all. So we're not saying that one coach can come in and coach everyone within an organization. Some coaches are very talented and can adapt their style, but actually some people will need different things in their coaching. And that's exactly why it works so well. It's like a toolkit that you can adapt to meet people where they are. So sometimes that could be one-to-one support for emerging leaders to figure out their voice, like we've seen within the case study itself. And sometimes it's about helping a team navigate tension or strengthen trust or align around common goals. Because actually what we haven't even touched on is team coaching and the role in which that does within strategic leadership teams themselves as well. And coaching can play a powerful role in structured programs as well, whether you're trying to accelerate high potential or embedding learning post training to make sure you're supporting people on that journey, or even just a more broader succession plan as well. And increasingly, we're seeing it used alongside those diagnostic tools. So we've done it within those 360s, but you could also do it with psychometric assessments. So where coaching can help leaders turn insight into action. It's a really cool phrase that I hear a lot is getting that data, and it's the so what? What does it mean for me, and what do I need to do with that information? And those coaches can help them take it through. And finally, coaching is a lifeline in moments of change. So that could be career transitions, it could be role shifts, it could be returning from parental leave, where values do change, or it could be people stepping into their first management role. These are the moments where people need that space to reflect, reframe, and help them grow forward as well. So don't just think of it as a strategic growth perspective to help people in their careers and development. It can be around actually transitioning and going through change as well. It's a real critical factor there. Oops, I'm trying to copy and paste it apparently, but we're going to move from there. So in short, coaching works best when it's intentional, it's tailored and integrated into moments that matter. So think of coaching as not a standalone event, but as a thread, one that runs through the entire talent lifecycle, adding clarity, confidence, and capability where you need it most. So here are some top tips that if you're looking to embed coaching strategic into your offering. And the first one is to build it into your talent strategy. Don't just utilize it as a ad hoc one-off. Start to build it into the way in which you develop talent. So whether that's your succession planning, whether that's your career development, start to link it through with everything that goes through. We've already talked about the pathways and career development, so that's how you then build it into those talent strategy pieces as well. But also enable your managers to be coaches. I'm not saying that all of your coaches need to have the qualifications to be coaches, but train them to ask questions, train them to be curious in why and how they operate with people. Because coaching isn't just a formal process. It can also be that informal, which creates that coaching culture within your organization. But also think about who sponsors coaching, who are your champions, and how do you showcase the value and impact? This is where, if you're linking it into your talent strategy, you can almost do both with one approach. If you're linking it to both, you can measure it and measure both as an output to say, this is what we're aiming to do, achieve by our strategy. We're implementing coaching to achieve that. And this is what we've got as part of the output itself. So it's a lovely way to tie it all together and show that return on investment, which leadership are more and more asking about as we run through as well. Now, I'm going to come back to the coaching maturity curve. So we've explored coaching in a lot more detail. And I want to take another quick poll. So knowing what you know now about coaching, where would you say that your approach is across that maturity curve? So if you aren't using coaching at all, you don't have to answer this, but the people who have answered, please do think about actually, where do you think you are? Are you ad hoc? Are you where coaching is only utilized when it's needed in crisis or just at that exec level? Are you emerging so some of the coaching infrastructure is there, so you have a pool of those external coaches? Is it more integrated within your L&D, within your talent strategy itself? Do you start to build management capability and career development? Or are you transformational? Is it just the way you do things and it's what you put as part of your EVP? And actually, it's a reason why people come to you because of that coaching culture in itself. So we've got a lot coming through. So we've got 50% at that ad hoc level. We've got 31% of the emerging, and we've got 23 as the integrated, which is great. So to see actually people are starting to get to that integrated level, it's fantastic. To hear that they're embedding it within their L&D approaches, they've got management capability building. That is a real great place to be, and hopefully can help you transition into that more transformational elements as well. Great. So here are some more practical steps. So if you think that you want to move across these phases, so if we want to move from ad hoc to emerging to integrated to transformational, there we go, almost forgot the 4 stages, even though we put them together. Start to think about where you are now. So do a bit of an audit and think about where you are now and where you want to be. So you may want to be a transformational from ad hoc and you want to navigate those areas, but use it as a bit of a future back. Where do you want to get to and work your way backwards in those step-by-step approaches? And when you're thinking about that path and that step-by-step, if you aspire to be a transformational, think about the critical things that you need to do from a backwards perspective. So if you want the managers to have the capability and it to be part of that culture, what do you need to do in order to achieve that? And before you do that, what do you need to do in order to make sure that you can start to develop those managers? Because if you're starting from managers, you want to make sure that the leaders are role modeling that behavior as it comes through. So whether it's actually you want to start to get them some external coaching or to get them some more training on how to do coaching itself. So start to work backwards is a really great way to sort of work it through rather than working it from a forward perspective, because you will start to do bigger jumps themselves rather than breaking it down. And think about how you build internal capability. So that's across your leaders and managers as well, because you will need to start getting them up to speed around what does coaching mean for them, especially with the informal elements, and start to embed it across your processes. So some of you have already said you're doing that, which is fantastic, but start to build it across how you build out effective career development pathways or succession planning, and start to build it across that talent piece as well. But also track the impact. If you're not tracking it, then you don't know if it's working, especially if you're starting to use budgets or you're giving budgetary investment to these. You need to start to show that it's proved that it's working, to continue that investment within those to make sure that you are building that coaching culture as it moves through. So there are 5 practical steps, or a lot more. So Sam, I know you might ask the question, if these don't cover those, please do let us know, because we've got lots more practical steps and tips we can offer you as part of that itself. Now, what we've come to the end of what we're doing, but actually, if you're looking to reevaluate your strategy, your talent strategy, and start to think about coaching as part of that, please do have a look at our L&D strategy white paper. Now, this white paper has all the recipe for building a successful L&D strategy. So if you want to relook at it and start to review where you are, take a bit of an audit and start to think how you build it together within your L&D approach, this is a really great tool and resource for you to use. And it's something that hopefully can give you some of those ideas, the practical steps that you can take to actually start to implement that into your ways of working. Next is our Coach on Demand offering. So if you're looking at some external coaches, you would like some support with coaching, then please do check out our coaching assessment page on our website. This has all the relevant information around our coaching assessment pillar. So whether you're looking to do some diagnostic 360s, some Hogan assessments, some voice sprints that Joe mentioned earlier, or you just need some help and support with some coaching itself, this is everything you have, or what we offer in regards to our coaching demand offering. That's got everything from management coaching to leadership coaching through to team coaching as well, and the difference between those two itself. But if you're left at the end of this webinar still with questions unanswered, we do have free 30-minute slots to book in. You've got hopefully one of our, either mine or Joe's booking link in coming up now. This, you'll have both of us on the call, and we can help you with some practical ideas around how you can move through those stages. Or if you are stuck and want some advice, then please do book in some time with myself and Joe if you have some more questions. But that rounds us up for the rest of the day. We have got 5 minutes left, so me and Joe can stay on if anyone has any more questions that we can answer. But if that is the end, then I do wish you all a fantastic Thursday. Only one more day to the weekend. And it looks like it's going to be a scorcher, so please do stay hydrated as you go through the day. But thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday morning. And please, if you do have any more questions, please drop them into the chat, and we'll be delighted to answer your questions.
Thank you, everybody. Really lovely to see everyone, even though we can't see you. But hopefully we've answered all your questions. And if, as Craig said, if you want to chat to us, you know where we are. Have a great day.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Speak to you soon.
Later. Bye.